what's up? It's Richie here with Statifying Football. These are the midday games for Saturday. Arkansas and Alabama. Arkansas beat LSU in overtime 16-13. KJ Jefferson 142 passing a touchdown and ran for 41 yards. Defensively, they forced 3 turnovers in the game. Bumper Poole had 13 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass defense. Grant Morgan 11 tackles and 1.5 tackles for loss. Hayden Henry 10 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss. Bama, they beat New Mexico State 59-3. Bryce Young looks like the Heisman winner. 275 touchdown passes, pretty much all of it in the first half. Jamison Williams, 6 catches, 158, 3 touchdowns, had 587 yards of offense, 7 sacks defensively, only allowed 138 yards. I'm not sure this will be a really close game. Arkansas potential has the offense, but to me, Alabama may be the best team in the country. Sorry, Georgia. I think Alabama beats you in the SEC title game. I think Alabama wins this and may win this game by quite a large margin. SMU Cincinnati, huge game in the American and nationally. SMU has the potential to upset Cincinnati. SMU, they beat UCF 55-28. Tanner Mordecai 377, 3 touchdowns. They had 631 yards of offense. Defensively, it's 7 sacks, 3 of them by DeVere Levelston. Cincinnati, they beat USF 45-28. They kind of struggled. They turned over 3 times. Desmond Ridder did pass for 304, 2 touchdowns, ran for 65 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, they forced 4 turnovers. They can't turn over 3 times against SMU and expect to keep it. I'm calling my shot. SMU wins. This is upset alert. Not upset. I'm calling the upset. Cincinnati, their last 4 games, they've struggled against bad competition. SMU is not bad competition. This is an upset. Cincinnati, I'm sorry, you're done. All right, Michigan and Maryland. Upset alert here for Michigan. Michigan, they beat Penn State 21-17. K. McNamara 217, 3 touchdowns. Hassan Haskins ran for 156. Defensively, had 7 sacks, 3 by Aiden Hutchinson. Junior Colson 12 tackles, a half tackle for loss. Josh Ross 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Maryland, they did lose 40-21 to Michigan State, but Tale Tagovailoa passed for 350, 2 touchdowns. Chigoziem Okonkwo 8 catches, 112, and 2 touchdowns. Raheem Jarrett 10 catches, 105. Amy Final 11 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss. I'm going to put Michigan on upset alert. Maryland's offense has looked good. Tale Tagovailoa, he's been passing it all around the yard this year. They have one of the top passing games in the nation. Michigan is favored by 15. I'll say Michigan does win. I think maybe the defense probably stops Maryland a little bit. But the Michigan offense, they can get going with the running game, but if they let Maryland's offense get going, I'm not sure they'll be able to keep up offensively. I'll go, like I said, Michigan wins, but upset alert. Nebraska and Wisconsin. Nebraska coming off a bye. They lost to Ohio State 26-17. Adrian Martinez passed for 258 and a touchdown. Ran for 51 yards and a touchdown. Samari Torrey, 4 catches, 150 and a touchdown. Mosey Newsom, 10 tackles. Weston Ryman, 10 tackles and a pass defense. Wisconsin, they've looked great so far the last 3 or 4 games. They beat Northwestern 35-7. Graham Mertz, 216, 2 touchdowns. Braylon Allen, the 17-year-old freshman, has been awesome. He ran for 173 and 3 touchdowns. They had 3 turnovers, forced 4 turnovers though. Leo Channel, 14 tackles, a sack, 3 tackles for loss. Jack Sanborn, 10 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. Slight upset alert here, but I don't think Wisconsin will have much trouble. They look great. They have the best defense in the country, and they're starting to get that running game going like a Wisconsin does. Watch out for Braylon Allen for the rest of this year and as a Heisman contender next season. Virginia and Pitt. This is interesting. If Virginia lost to Notre Dame 28-3. Jay Woolfolk came in because Brennan Armstrong was hurt. Woolfolk passed for 196, 2 interceptions. Keaton Thompson 9 catches, 110. Pitt beat North Carolina 30-23 in overtime. Kenny Pickett passed for 346, 3 touchdowns. Defense had 5 sacks. If Brennan Armstrong can play for Virginia, this is going to be a shootout of all shootouts. If he plays, Pittsburgh is on a huge upset alert. I'm not sure if he'll play. If he plays. If he doesn't, Pittsburgh should win. I'm going to go Pitt with here. We'll see how that works. But I'm telling you, watch that game. Pittsburgh, you're on major upset alert. Huge game in this USA. UAB and UTSA both going for this USA title game. If I'm not mistaken, the winner of this should... I think if UTSA wins, they clinch. If UAB wins, they got to win next week. I'm not sure, but it's a really big game in this USA. UAB beat a really good Marshall offense 21-14. Dylan Hopkins passed for 250, ran for a touchdown. Dwayne McBride ran for 108, 2 touchdowns. Trey Shropshire, 2 catches, 100 yards. Garrett Prince, 5 catches, 100 yards. UTSA, they were able to just get by Southern Miss 27-17. They were down 17-10 at one point and had to come back and win. Frank Harris, 227, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Joshua Cephas, 8 catches, 106, and a touchdown. Defensively, that's what saved them. They had 3 turnovers and only allowed 189 yards of offense. This is going to be a really good game. UAB plays really tough defense. McBride and Sincere McCormick, the running backs on both sides, are really good. My edge is going slightly to UTSA. The quarterback, Frank Harris, he's a really good thrower and a good runner. Dylan Hopkins, he's shown it. He's a really good runner, but he's kind of inconsistent passing in terms of accuracy. He doesn't turn over a whole lot, but Frank Harris is a more accurate passer. I'm going to say UTSA remains undefeated and remains ranked with a really close win here. That'll be a really fun game to watch. All right, Marshall and Charlotte. Big game for Charlotte. They want to try to get bowl eligible. They lost to Louisiana Tech 42-32. Chris Reynolds 448, 2 touchdowns. Keith Pearson 6 catches, 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Grant DuBose 4 catches, 108. They put up 548 yards in that loss. Marcus Robitaille 12 tackles and a half tackle for a loss. Marshall, they lost 21-14 to UAB. Grant Wells passed for 232, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Abraham Beauplan 15 tackles, half a sack, 2.5 tackles for loss. Brandon Drayton 14 tackles, half a sack, and 5 tackles for loss. This is Marshall's picked by 15. I think that's too high. Charlotte's a really good team. They did lose to Louisiana Tech. Marshall's off. Both teams are really good. Be a pretty high scoring game. I'm gonna say Marshall. You know what? I'm gonna go Charlotte. I don't know why. I feel like I kind of want them to win just to get bowl eligible. Marshall's already bowl eligible. I'm gonna say Charlotte will get this, kind of mini upset here, and they get to go to a bowl. Old Dominion and Middle Tennessee State, both teams trying to keep alive their bowl eligibility. In fact, if Middle Tennessee State wins, they'll have their 6th win. Old Dominion is 4-6. They're trying to win out to get to a bowl. They did have a nice win against Florida Atlantic, 30-16. Hayden Wolf 289 and a touchdown. Blake Watson 163 rushing and a touchdown. Defensively, they had 2 safeties and a defensive PAT. So they blocked an extra point, brought it back for 2 in that game. Jason Henderson 12 tackles, a half tackle for loss. Jordan Young 10 tackles and a half tackle for loss. Middle Tennessee State, they did what they wanted against Florida International. In fact, they made their coach get fired. They won 50-10. Nick Vadiato 147 passing, 2 touchdowns. They ran for 261 yards as a team. Defensively, had 5 sacks, 4 turnovers, only allowed 155 yards, and an interception return for a touchdown, and a safety in that game. I do think this will be a pretty fun game to watch. Old Dominion seems to have something going with that offense. But I'm going to say Middle Tennessee State. With Vadiato, Chase Cunningham's a good quarterback. He's been hurt. Vadiato looks like he's at least decent enough to win with. I think Middle Tennessee State will get that bowl eligibility win here. All right, Minnesota and Indiana. Minnesota lost a close game, 27-22 to Iowa. Tanner Morgan, 14-30, 183 and a touchdown. Kai Thomas ran for 126. Chris Ottman-Bell, 5 catches, 109 and a touchdown. Indiana wasn't even close against Rutgers, 38-3 loss. 3 quarterbacks combined to be 18-42 for 177 yards, 2 interceptions. They turned it over 6 times. Indiana, I don't know, they've fallen apart. It's late in the season. Minnesota's trying to get going, finish off well. I think Minnesota wins that game. And Minnesota's favored by 7. I think they win by more than 7. I think Minnesota might blow them out. All right, East Carolina and Navy. East Carolina had an awesome win against Memphis to become bowl eligible. They beat them in overtime 30-29. Holt Nailers passed for 317. He did throw 2 interceptions, but he also ran for 46 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Snead, 13 receptions, 113 yards at 502 yards of offense. Navy coming off a bye. They lost to Notre Dame 34-6 in that game. All they could do was they ran for 166, and that is about it. Navy has not a really potent offense, but they can slow down games. They can get upsets here. I'm not sure they'll do it in this game. I think East Carolina, they'll be able to score just a little bit, enough to win. Of course, I think ECU gets a win. Appalachian State and Troy. Decent game in the Sun Belt. Troy trying to get to a bowl game. App State, they beat South Alabama 31-7. Chase Price 195, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, +1 rushing. They turned over 4 times. They did have a pick 6 defensively. They can't turn over 4 times. Troy is a pretty decent team with a decent offense, so they can't do that against Troy. Troy potentially can make them pay. Troy lost 35-21 to Louisiana Lafayette. Gunnar Watson 350 yards, a touchdown, a pick, and ran for 1. They turned over 3 times itself. Carlton Marshall had 10 tackles. This would be a close game. App is picked by 10. That sounds about right. Troy, like I said, it'll keep it close. It'll be a fun game. I think Appalachian State wins in the end. All right, BYU and Georgia Southern. BYU coming off a bye. They did what they wanted against Idaho State, 59-14. Jaron Hall, 298, 4 touchdowns, and 1 rushing. Puka Nacua, 6 catches, 128 touchdown, and 560 yards of offense. They had a block punt return for a touchdown. Georgia Southern beat Texas State 38-30. Cam Ransom passed for 125, a touchdown, ran for 39. Justin Tomlin passed for 108, touchdown and pick. Derwin Burgess, 5 catches, 134, and a touchdown. They also had a block punt return for a touchdown in that game. Eldrick Robinson, 12 tackles and 1.5 tackles for loss. Georgia Southern with the triple option could maybe keep it close. But I think BYU with Jaron Hall, they've looked really good on offense. They got too much firepower there. I think BYU probably wins and wins pretty big. All right, Syracuse and NC State. Syracuse, they did not look good at all against they did not look good at all against Louisville. They lost 41-3. Garrett Schrader only passed for 46 yards, ran for 43. They only had 184 yards of offense. NC State, they lost a great game to Wake Forest, 45-42 loss. Devin Leary passed for 408, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Emeka Emezi, 10 catches, 133, and 2 touchdowns. Devin Carter, 7 catches, 132, and 2 touchdowns. They had 3 turnovers. They forced 3 turnovers. They had a kick return for a touchdown. I think Syracuse, they're trying to get to a bowl game, but they have a really good running back in Sean Tucker. Garrett Schrader can run all over people. I'm going to put an NC State on upset alert, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Syracuse wins, but I don't expect it. I'm going to say NC State wins here. All right, Florida and Missouri. This is for a bowl game. Whoever wins will go to a bowl. UF looked horrible defensively against Stanford. They won 70-52. They allowed 42 in the first half. They fire Dan Mullen right now. Emory Jones, 464 passing, 6 touchdown passes, ran for 86 yards and a touchdown. Kamari Gamble, 6 catches, 122 and 2 touchdowns. They had 717 yards of offense, and they fucking needed it. Rashad Torrance did what he could. He had 12 tackles, but they couldn't do shit against Stanford. They needed all 70 of those points. Missouri, they beat South Carolina, had a good win, 31-28. Connor Bazelak passed for 182 touchdowns, 2 picks. Tyler Beatty ran for 209 yards and a touchdown. They turned over 3 times. They forced 3 turnovers, got a fumble return for a touchdown. I don't know what to think about this. Beatty's a really good running back. Florida has shown they suck on defense. Tyrion Davis Price for LSU ran for like 287 yards. Beatty could run for like 300 yards on him. I'm gonna have a little bit of faith in I have no faith in Dan Mullen anymore. I have a little bit of faith in the Florida players, especially the defense. They're probably upset. They gave up so much stuff. I think they stiff it up a little bit. I think the offense should be able to get something going. I'm gonna say Florida wins here, but this is gonna kind of dejected as a Gator fan. I'll say Florida wins and gets to a bowl. All right, Rice and UTEP. Rice lost 42-21 to Western Kentucky. Jake Constantine, 380 passing, a touchdown, but he threw 4 interceptions. August Petrie, 9 catches, 133. Cedric Patterson, 7 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. They actually had 504 yards of offense, but they turned over 5 times in that game. They forced 4 turnovers with 10 tackles by Kirk Lockhart. UTEP, they lost. They were kind of upset by North Texas, 20-17. Gavin Hardison, 273, touchdown and a pick. Jacob Cowing, 5 catches, 174 and a touchdown. Breon Hayward, 14 tackles. Tyrese Knight, 11 tackles, a tackle for loss and a pass defense. Tyson Wilson, 11 tackles. I'm going to say UTEP bounces back. Their defense is still really good. North Texas offense is decent. Rice's look like they can maybe move it a little bit. I expect this to be kind of a close game, and I'm going to say UTEP will get the victory. All right, UConn and UCF. UConn, they returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown against Clemson and then couldn't do a damn thing. They only had 99 total yards and 11 penalties and lost 44-7. UCF, they lost 55-28 against SMU, but they kept it close for most of the first half. Mikey Keene passed for 174 and a touchdown, and Mark Anthony Richards ran for 104 and 2 touchdowns. I think UCF should be able to beat UConn. UCF is favored by 30.5. Their offense is not good enough for that, but I can see them winning by 20-21. I think UConn might be able to get a little bit going. I can see UCF winning like 34-20, maybe 38-20, something like that. But I'm gonna say UCF they'll win kind of a ho-hum game. All right, this could be a high-scoring game with Louisiana Lafayette and Liberty. ULL beat Troy 35-21. Levi Lewis passed for 166, 3 touchdowns, and ran for 44 yards and a touchdown. Chris Smith ran for 102. Defensively, they forced 3 turnovers. Fraud Gardner, 11 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a pass defense. Liberty coming off a bye. They only lost to Ole Miss 27-24, and that was because they turned it over 3 times. Malik Willis had 3 interceptions. He did run for 71 yards and a touchdown. Shedler Lewis ran for 101 and a touchdown. They actually put up 284 rushing yards against Ole Miss. This should be a fun game. Both quarterbacks are really good. They all have really good running games with good offenses. I'm surprised the over-under is not higher than 53. I think this may go way up there. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Louisiana is, at least they were ranked at one point. Maybe not anymore, but I'm gonna go Liberty winning a close game here. But that'll be a really fun game to watch. All right, Kansas and TCU. Kansas, they won the first road Big 12 game since 2008, going into Texas. They won in overtime 57-56, went for the winning 2-point conversion and got it. Jalen Daniels, 202 passing, 3 touchdowns, ran for 45 yards and a touchdown. Devin Neal ran for 143 and 3 touchdowns. Defensively, he had 4 turnovers and a pick 6. Kenny Logan getting 11 tackles and a pass defense. TCU, they didn't look good against Oklahoma State. They lost 63-17. Chandler Morris only passed for 103. Defensively, had a fumble return, and Nook Bradford had 10 tackles. Kansas looked better this year. I'm going to say this would be kind of a close game. TCU is picked by 22. I don't think they'll win by that much, but I do think TCU might be able to get something going on offense against Kansas and be able to win. It's kind of a close game. All right, Temple and Tulsa. Temple lost 37-8 to Houston. Justin Lynch, 11-24, 119, 2 interceptions. Did run for 78 yards, but they turned it over 3 times. MJ Griffin, 11 tackles, a sack, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 passes defensed. Tulsa trying to keep their bowl eligibility alive. They're 4-6. They beat Tulane in overtime 20-13. Davis Brin, 188, 1 touchdown. He did throw 3 interceptions in that game. They turned over 4 times total. Justin Wright, 12 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. Tulsa is not a world beater. Temple they looked okay sometimes. Tulsa's picked by 21.5. I'm not sure they'll win by that much, but I do believe Tulsa will win. All right, big rivalry game, UCLA and USC. UCLA, they're coming off 44-20 win against Colorado to get to a bowl. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, 257 passing and interception, ran for 99 yards and a touchdown. They had 502 yards of offense. Defense, they had 4 sacks, a punt return for a touchdown, and 11 tackles by Stephen Blaylock. USC, they were supposed to play Cal last week, but there was a coronavirus outbreak, so that was postponed. So effectively, they had a bye week. Their last game, they lost to Arizona State 31-16. Keaton Silva's passed for 131 and a touchdown. Defensively, they had 3 turnovers, with Kanai Maga getting 11 tackles and a half tackle for loss. I do think this is going to be a close game, and it's going to go back and forth. Both offenses are still pretty decent. USC struggled this year, but they have looked pretty good on offense. Mostly Keaton Slovis is a good player. They kind of went down when Drake London was hurt. UCLA's favorite. I'm kind of leaning towards USC here. This is, I'll go UCLA to win just because maybe I think USC might benefit though from that week off, that extra week of rest. I'll go UCLA, but this really could go either way. All right, Baylor and Kansas. Baylor had a huge upset win against Oklahoma, 27-14. Gary Bohannon, 117 passing, a touchdown, a pick, ran for 107 and 2 touchdowns. Abram Smith ran for 148. They had 296 rushing yards in the game and 5 sacks from their defense. Kansas State looked good against West Virginia, 134-17. Skylar Thompson passed for 138 and a touchdown. Deuce Vaughn ran for 121 and a touchdown. Defensively, he had 3 turnovers and a blocked punt return for a touchdown. Baylor, I'm putting you on huge upset alert here. Kansas State, they always win games they, quote, shouldn't. They actually look pretty good. They're playing well. Baylor's only favored by 1, so I think they know this is a big upset alert kind of game. I'm not sure if I can pull this. I'll go Kansas State. They just, every year, no matter what, even if they don't have a very good team, they win. Like I said, they beat a high-ranked team when they probably shouldn't. And Kansas State is actually pretty decent this year. They are 7-3 and only 1 win behind Baylor. I think they even it up. I'll go Kansas State with the upset win. All right, then you got... Alright, Auburn and South Carolina. Auburn, they lost 43-34 to Mississippi State. They were up 28-3 and choked the game away. Bo Nix passed for 377, 2 touchdowns. Kobe Hudson, 8 catches, 107, and a touchdown. Javarius Johnson, 4 catches, 102. Zacoby McClain, 13 tackles, a half tackle for loss, and a pass defense. Chandler Wooden, 10 tackles, a half tackle for loss, and 2 passes defense. South Carolina lost a close game to Missouri, 31-28. Jason Brown passed for 193, 2 touchdowns. They turned it over 3 times. Defensively, 3 turnovers and 10 tackles from Cam Smith. I think Auburn, I think they'll bounce back. I think they're angry. They're mad. They still have a pretty decent team, pretty decent offense. I think they beat Auburn's favored by 7.5. I think they beat South Carolina by quite a bit more than that. All right, North Texas and FIU. North Texas 4-6, trying to get to a bowl game. FIU just fired their head coach. North Texas, they beat UTEP, a good team, 20-17. Austin Aune, he was only 15 of 33 for 240 and a touchdown, and ran for 44 yards and a touchdown, but the defense made that stand up. FIU, like I said, they fired their coach. They got pummeled by Middle Tennessee State, 50-10. Max Bortenslager, 9 of 20, 68 yards, 2 interceptions. They had 155 total yards and 4 turnovers. Defensively, Richard Dames had 10 tackles and a half tackles for loss. I'm going to say FIU, they won't keep it close. North Texas wins and will go into their final weekend, only needing 1 win for a bowl game. So I'd say North Texas wins. All right, in the final of the noon games, Cal and Stanford. Cal technically still alive for a bowl game. They're 3-6. They didn't play last week. It was postponed because of COVID against USC. Their last game, though, they lost 10-3 to Arizona. Mostly because they had 24 players out with COVID. Ryan Glover, 11 of 29, 94 yards, 122 yards, total yards. Defensively, they forced 3 turnovers. Daniel Scott had 12 tackles. Stanford, they lost to Oregon State, 35-14. Eric Patu came in. He started, did not play very well. Only had 51 passing yards, a touchdown, a pick, ran for 31 yards. They turned it over 3 times in the game. Jacob Mangum Farrar, 12 tackles and a tackle for loss. We'll see if this gets played. We'll see how Cal does with their coronavirus. I do believe, though, Stanford is probably the better team. Cal may still be struggling with COVID. We'll see. But I'm going to say Stanford will win that game there. So those are the noon games. Check out my other ones. A huge night game with Oregon and Utah. See where I go with that one. Peace.